Exactly.
They have a record
Call
of
Call meeting order at 7:31. Pleasant Run Farm Civic Association General Meeting, April 23rd, 2015.
Could you speak louder, please? I
Yes,
can't hear
please,
you.
speak a little louder.
Is this just for you, or is it?
Yeah, no sound amplification.
I'll try.
All right. Could you push this over here?
I'd like to start the meeting, I've been asked to request to start the meeting with awarding of the Pleasant Run Farm Civic Association Scholarship. This year's recipient is going to be Justin Berquist. Justin is a senior at Northwest High School and is planning to attend Defiance College to major in history education. Justin grew up in the farms and has been active in the PRF sports, swim club, and the 4th of July parade. He even participated in the skirt game for the first time last summer and said he had a great time. Justin has achieved the rank of Eagle Scout. At Northwest, he's been very active as an athlete, volunteer, and leader in several capacities. The letters written on his behalf by teachers are simply a testament to the qualities this young man possesses: character, integrity, willingness to help, cheerful attitude, and a hard worker. We are very proud of you, Justin, and we are extremely pleased to present the 2015 Pleasant Run Farm Civic Association Scholarship to you. Congratulations. I'll make you photo ops later. Tonight we have some guests from Springfield Township trustees, Gwen McFarland, Mike Gould, and Chris Gilbert. Sorry, stretching my memory here. One of the topics we know is going to be covered, or want to cover, is the roads and the streets and farms. And how many are here because of the roads and farms? If you wouldn't mind. Yeah, quite a few of you. I'll let Gwen get a little more into it, but we didn't want to take up the whole meeting time with that. We know there's concerns, and we want to address those, but we may have to have another meeting specifically for that cause that we can find a time and place to do. She knows a lot of you here because of the roads and streets, and we want to make sure they're aware of this. So I'll turn it over to Gwen at this time.
Thanks, Kevin. First, I want to again introduce Chris, who's our assistant administrator, and Mike Gould, who works in our service department. And John Musselman could not be here this evening because he had a prior commitment that he could not change his calendar, switch his calendar on. So what I wanted to do is first talk about the roads. And I've been receiving, all of us have been receiving emails and letters from our residents out here in Pleasant Run Farms. We understand the condition of your streets and roads because we have a similar problem all over the township. It's not just Pleasant Run Farms. And we're looking at everything from a global perspective. And Anna Fields, she attends most of our meetings. She can attest to how many people are coming to our meetings concerned about the crumbling roads and streets in their neighborhoods. So what we'd like to do is schedule a meeting, and I'll be working with Kevin to look at a date, time, and place where we can have more time to discuss and educate our community here in Pleasant Run Farm, similar to what we did some years ago when we did the grill house, regarding what the streets and roads look like. And I also requested a 15-year history of road pavement work throughout the entire township, including Pleasant Run Farms. We'd like to be able to take the time to dialogue with our residents in Pleasant Run Farms and also look at some of the other challenges that are facing our farms. The other challenge, as many of you may know, and hopefully if you do not know, you should know, that your swimming pool is in bad condition. And I happen to have the privilege of meeting with Aaron down in the pool just to look at the condition of that pool.
We were down in the
We were down, we were down in the pool, and a couple of us, although I didn't realize it until tonight, but at least one other person, we ended up with jigger bites or something.
Oh, really?
Yes. So we were there, knee deep, okay? But those two ladies were out there in that pool scrubbing and brushing all the dead leaves and everything. So we have a concern about our swimming pool in Pleasant Run Farms. So not only are we concerned and should be concerned about our roads and streets, but we also need to look at the swimming pool issue and then also look at other opportunities and challenges in Pleasant Run Farms. So Pleasant Run Farms, we're doing our best to try to survive from the actual desert storm that we went through when we lost $2.1 million, in local government funds. But we're also trying to keep our infrastructure strong and maintain it to the best of our ability. Now, I want you also to be aware that it's not only Springfield Township that's having this problem. All of the communities in the county are having some sort of a problem. But primarily, we have not been able to pass a road levy since, when was the first time? 2005?
The first road levy we ever passed in the township was in 1997.
Okay. And then when we were trying to pass it after that, what year was that we started?
Roughly 6, 7, somewhere around there, 2006, 2007.
2005, 2006.
3 different attempts.
3 attempts, 3 strikes, and we were out. And I do have to share with you that we received good support with those levies from Pleasant Run Farms, but we still weren't able to get the levy passed. So we would like, as the trustees, as our fellow trustees and administrative staff, working with Kevin to pull together another date, time, and place where we can spend time, as I said, similar to when we did our grill outs, working with and listening to your concerns and also looking at your opportunities as well. Pleasant Run Farm is a great community, and everywhere I go, I talk about, you live in Pleasant Run Farms, you need to come to the meetings, you need to have your voice heard. It's a great community, and we want to keep it that way. And I see a gentleman that's here tonight, and I had met him, and he's new to the community. He's been here about a year, close to a year. And he wanted to know how he could get involved as well, he and his family. So I'm excited to see you here tonight, and just welcome any new individuals that are here tonight. But we will have a special meeting, grill out, something where we can just sit down, dialogue, and spend more time instead of trying to do everything tonight. I just want you all to have the time to do this. We've survived the silver bullet, the perfect storm now. There's no silver bullet that can tell us or give us a solution to this problem right away, but we do have some ideas. We just have to research them some more. And some other issues that came up, another one was about the lighting district. And I know there's some logistical aspects of the lighting district or the lighting in our Pleasant Run Farms community. So Chris, can you address that, please?
Yes. Just to provide some context regarding road resurfacing, I know Gwen had mentioned, obviously, we're going to have a more robust meeting
Yes.
Later in the summer to discuss the road repaving. But I think it's important to just provide some context to the situation. As we mentioned, the first road levy in the township was passed in 1997. That's a 1 mil levy that at the time generated $500,000 a year. In 1997, you could repave approximately what? 4 miles of road with that $500,000. Today, maybe a little less than a mile, can you pave with $500,000. So in 97, that 1 mil levy generated the $500,000. Today, it still generates a $500,000. So obviously, we can do a lot less with the money that we had. Springfield Township was roughly developed all at the same time. You had an area that was, one of the first growing suburbs outside of the city of Cincinnati, and it developed roughly around the same time frame. So for a long time, the township had all new roads. They didn't have to worry about infrastructure repair, repaving the roads. So for a long time, they didn't have a road levy. As I mentioned, the first one, dedicated fund just for road resurfacing, wasn't done until 97. Realizing that, and realizing that these roads are all going to start to fall apart and come due for repair at the same time, the trustees back in the early 2000s tried to pass a road levy to get ahead of this issue. Unfortunately, the community, for whatever reason, didn't feel that that was necessary, and we failed 3 attempts to pass a road levy. So fast forward today, this is the situation we're in. We have approximately 91 miles of road in Springfield Township. We get $500,000 a year of money that can be utilized for road resurfacing. Doesn't go very far. We understand the roads are bad. I know all of you are here to tell us how bad the road is in front of your house. Believe me, we're aware of it. We know it. This isn't a revelation to us, and it isn't something that we're deciding to ignore. It's simply a budgetary, a revenue issue for us. And we've been fairly successful at getting grants, and Mike and John within the service department have been very successful in getting grants to leverage that $500,000 that we get each year. So a lot of times we'll utilize the money as a match to a grant and get a $1 million to $1.5 million project done for the $500,000 that we put toward that project. So sometimes we can triple our money with these grant projects. And we've done and been successful at that in some projects here in Pleasant Run Farms. I know, just to give you some statistics, and we have done some significant paving projects in the farms, and I'd be happy to share those numbers with you, but we've done, looking at the numbers, roughly in the last 15 years, half the mileage in Pleasant Run Farms has been repaved. Now, while that may not be evident in front of your house, and I get that, we have in the last 15 years repaved almost half the roads in Pleasant Run Farms. And I assure you that while this is no consolation, and I'm empathetic with the situation in Pleasant Run Farms and the streets in your particular neighborhood, this isn't an uncommon issue. This is something that is played out in other neighborhoods throughout the township and frankly throughout communities all across the state and the country. I think you hear all the time about the federal highway system, and the infrastructure literally in this country is crumbling because we don't dedicate enough resources towards it. And while I know Gwen and the board have tried to get out ahead of this and pass road levies and dedicate funds to that, it just hasn't been successful. So we are trying some new things. We are looking at some different ways to do that. There are several ideas that we have that we're currently researching, some of which are going to require state legislative changes to allow us to even do it. And, you know, just to give you a sneak peek of that, maybe we create a special infrastructure improvement district just for a community like Pleasant Run Farms where you get to vote on your own road levy. You don't have to worry about what the rest of the township does. If you pass your own road levy, those monies will then be generated and utilized only in Pleasant Run Farms. Unfortunately, right now, the state legislature doesn't have a law in place that allows townships to do that. So Gwen and the board have expressed the idea and the sentiment that they want to go to the state legislature, propose a law change that will allow that to happen. So communities like yours who do value road improvements and do value the infrastructure in your communities can take control of yourselves and not be beholden to the rest of the community who may not have the same, I guess, concerns that you do for the roads in your community. So those are some of the things we want to talk about later in the summer. I know that we have a lot of ideas regarding not only the infrastructure but also the neighborhood in general. We met with Aaron regarding the pool. We're coming up with an idea to create a neighborhood grant program that I think Pleasant Run Farms would be a very good candidate for, which potentially could provide some funds to help repair the pool. The board is currently evaluating that proposal. They haven't made any concrete decisions yet. There's
still some loopholes.
There's some things we have to figure out. First of all, we have to see how the revenue and the budget looks toward the end of the year to see if it's something we can start to fund in 2016 and beyond. But it's definitely something we're exploring. We're definitely interested in maintaining and improving this neighborhood. Again, I think it's important to realize that while Pleasant Run Farms is your home, and that's what you're concerned about, and we understand that, we get that. The board and staff, obviously, we have an entire township to look at, and we have to balance the needs of the entire community beyond just one particular area. So we're aware of it, we get it. And I think, you know, Mike had mentioned before the meeting, and he's right, that we're looking to do some street sweeping here the next few months. That's going to help a lot, because what that's going to do, it's going to get a lot of the loose impediment up that would allow them to come in and do a lot of the patching and things that are causing the issues now. Until we do the street sweeping, we really can't go in and really do a comprehensive job of doing the patching and pothole repair. We've come off, you know, just at the end of two of the worst winters in decades, and that wreaks havoc on asphalt. And while you have roads that were already in bad shape, these past winters have just exacerbated an already existing problem. So, as I said, the board's aware of it. They're dedicated to finding solutions. And with your help, I think we'll be able to do that.
And he's just shared a cliff note. We want to be able to spend more time so we can get feedback from our residents in Pleasant Run Farms. As well as John had sent me a little note, and he talked about the work that they're trying to do as far throughout the township, and particularly in Pleasant Run Farm, to improve the streets. But as Chris indicated, our streets are in bad shape, and when they do the sweeping and the cleaning, they have to be very, very careful that they don't disrupt too much the rest of the street because they're in bad shape. Does that make sense?
And you're gonna need a backloader if you do that.
So what he says, it's gonna take, it probably will take 3 to 4 weeks with a 4-man crew out here in the township, trying to work out here in Pleasant Run Farms to work the streets, evaluate the streets, clean them, as well as being very careful not to disturb too much the sidewalks and the streets, as, not the sidewalks, but the streets and roads the way they are. But they're crumbling.
And curbs.
And they're crumbling. And, you know, if you were to ask me, what do you feel is the highest priority in our township? I'm gonna tell you, I can't sleep at night worried about our infrastructure. You know, and we want to be able to keep our communities viable because Pleasant Run Farms is doing an excellent job of sustaining and maintaining the yards. I mean, when I drove over this way, I took the back roads, you know, to get into Welch over here, and everybody's working in their yard. They're proud of their community, and we're proud of Pleasant Run Farms. So we want to work together with you all, and Kevin will work with us to be able to have a nice time and just talk about things and get your feedback as well.
Hey, Gwen had mentioned street lighting. We did have and I apologize, I kind of got off on a little bit of a tangent there with the road, but going back to the street lighting issue, the township handles street lighting in 1 of 2 ways. Generally, street lighting is done when a subdivision is developed and the developer puts in street lights. A lot of communities don't do that, so then they have to come back in and do 1 of 2 things. You create a lighting district. The lighting district then contacts the utility. They come out and mark where a good part would be to put the lights. They install them, and then the actual cost of the installation and maintenance of the lights is then assessed amongst all property owners that benefit from them. The other way that happens is the township will install lights on telephone poles if there's a demonstrated safety issue, whether that be traffic and/or crime. Those are the only 2 ways that the township can really put in streetlights. So what we'll do is, if there's a request for a streetlight, we'll have the service department go out and look at it, as well as the police department, and determine whether there's a traffic issue that would warrant a streetlight. Well, not a streetlight from red, yellow, green, but an actual illuminated streetlight. Or would there be a criminal issue from the police department that said, yeah, it's warranted and we should install one? If it comes back and it's evaluated by our departments and they indicate that there is a demonstrated need, then the township, our policy is we don't install them. But residents can always contact the utility themselves and have them installed and pay for them. I think it's roughly, I think Duke charge is right around.
$750 a month.
Yeah, I think it's, $750 a month. I was going to say around $100 a year, but yeah. So that's how we handle streetlights. So if you have a particular area that you would like to see one, you can send it to us. We'll evaluate it, and then we'll let you know if it meets their criteria.
And again, thank you all. Thank you all for taking the time and coming out tonight and listening to us, because we want to educate everyone. We want to keep everyone well informed. And I'm looking forward to when we can have our next meeting, which Kevin will help us work out the date, time, and place for that meeting. And we will be staying in touch with you. And I know, Kevin, they do an excellent job, and John does an excellent job, and Anna does. You all do an excellent job of notifying the residents in Pleasant Run Farm. So again, thank you very much. Yes?
When you come back for the next meeting on the roads, you mentioned that we've had 2 repairs in this area, and that's correct. But both times they went to the new sections. The newest roads are repaired. The oldest roads, the one in front of the school that has the heavy bus traffic, was not touched. So I would like to know how the roads are selected in a township when they come in, and why they would start in a new area and leave the old roads go to pot. These roads out here are 50 years old. They haven't been touched in front of the school. The roads in front of the school are the one that have the heavy buses. The ones where they started in the new section, and last year they did a cul-de-sac on the other side of the farms, which made no sense at all, because the cul-de-sac has very little traffic. But they spent the money on a
I'm so glad you
cul-de-sac.
asked that, because one of the things, we put together a draft of a 5-year plan, and we looked at that last year, and we went throughout the township and we graded that based on poor, fair, good, and excellent. So when we meet again, we will go over that draft that we have and look at the streets in Pleasant Run Farms, what conditions they are, but that's kind of like how we judge.
A lot of it has to do with how much money we have to utilize as well.
Yes.
So you mentioned the cul-de-sac. If we have a project where we have a certain amount of grant funding and we have
From Skip.
some skip, and we know that we have an extra, 2 $300,000 in that grant, and we know that there's a street in Pleasant Run Farms that we can get done for $200,000 to $300,000, even though it may be a little newer than the ones you're referring to, we'll go ahead and do that. Whereas some of the streets like you're referring to, it may take $1.5 million to $2 million to repave that road. So it really depends on funding. It depends on the area, because we get a lot of us economies of scale too. So if we can do projects that are in close proximity to each other, we can get a better deal from the contractor because he doesn't have to be spread out across various areas of the township. So there's a lot of things that go into it. It's the age of the road, it's the cost to do the repair, and it's the geographical area of where it is. So while it may not look like it makes a lot of sense, you know, when you look out your door, why are they doing that? There's a lot of different variables that go into it that unless you're really looking at the data and know how much money we have to spend and know what's left in a particular grant and know where the contractor may be in relation to another project, it probably doesn't make a lot of sense. But I assure you that we're doing things and trying to be as economical as we can with the money that we have.
Absolutely.
Well, the interesting thing was, the person that really brought it up were the people that were out repairing the roads.
Yeah.
I was talking to them one day and they're scratching their head. Said, I don't understand why they don't touch these. We're on the other side of the farms, road that doesn't get any traffic. We're repaving it. And I don't care if you spend $300,000 or what, that doesn't make a lot of sense. And why you did the new section on the farms, which was probably 15 years, at least 15 years younger, the roads, started there, that made no sense. Why didn't you start in the old section and move towards the new section?
Well, what I'd like to do is, because we promise, we're gonna have all those opportunities for discussion when we meet, because we need more time to address not only your questions and educate you as well. And the individuals that are working on the roads and streets, they know, but they may not know all of the logistical aspects. I mean, come on, they could be contractors from another community, you know, so yet most of them are our guys. But again, we want, and I think this is an excellent example of how we want to spend more time addressing.
May I make a suggestion?
Yes,
Would it be possible for the trustees to actually drive our roads up here? and
I do.
And go
Good
through the
idea.
I
gutters
do.
that we...
I
I'm
do.
talking about all the trustees that make the decisions that's for the spending in this township,
We,
including anyone in the administration office that has to make, that's part of that discussion. I mean, I know that you're going to meet with us and discuss, and I hope that's in the next 2 weeks because I want to get this ball rolling.
we'll make it as soon as possible. Let me share something with you. I rode with Mike when we had the, I'm not allowed to say the word, but I'll spell it, because they said I put a jinx on it when we had our last NSOW weather, okay?
Every time she says it, it does.
So they said I put a jinx on them. And riding with Mike, and I chose specifically to ride in Pleasant Run Farms.
And what streets?
We did the whole entire Pleasant Run Farms.
Okay.
And what I found interesting, and I didn't realize, there is an art. There's an art to everything. There is an art to everything that we do. With Mike and I was only with him for about 9-10 hours. He still had to work until early morning. I mean, I didn't chicken out or anything, but it was like, I think we started around 2 or 3, and 10 o'clock I was through. And we had some really kind residents who gave us a little snack, you know, because they knew we'd been out there for a while. But as I said, there's an art to everything. There's an art to the way we work and pave our roads and streets, and there's an art to snow removal. And we have multiple cul-de-sacs in Pleasant Run Farm.
We do.
And to remove snow in a cul-de-sac, that's an art. You don't just go up and down the road. You have to move forward, move backwards, get at an angle, bank the snow so it doesn't block the traffic or driveways. And that was a lesson for me. And so I want to tell you, they do a great job. And
But you saw the roads covered in snow.
I seen them, I ride the street, I come through here all the time because I don't live that far.
But I think to answer your question, we do. And as I said earlier, you know, this is one of about 12 neighborhoods we have. And this problem is not unique to Pleasant Run Farms.
No, it's not.
I could take you in many other neighborhoods in the township and show you streets is in bad or
But I
worse
don't live in
condition.
those neighborhoods.
But they're worse.
I know that,
That's
but
what my concern is.
I get that, but unfortunately, we have to look at every neighborhood and not just Pleasant Run Farms, as we represent the entire township. So while I understand that, I can appreciate that. Hopefully, you can appreciate our
I
position
do.
as well.
I do.
So, and while I would love to explain to you why we choose certain roads, I'm not sure if your board wants us to take the next hour to do that.
No, what we want to do, what I've discussed with Kevin, we want to make this an opportunity for all of us. So all the trustees would be here, the service department would be here, so we can really engage everyone and educate you, just like, you know, with your question and concern and yours as well. So we can take the time to do that. Okay, so again, I'm putting that, Kevin and I will be working on that, and John, we'll work on that and get a time, date, and place set up as quickly as possible. Yes,
I'll make
sir.
a comment. I think you guys always done a good job with snow removal.
I do too.
Yes.
Pass it on to everybody.
Snow
I think
removal's
he
great.
has, he's the chosen one for Pleasant Run Farm. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes. Just to say something to your point, and that I had the pleasure of speaking to Mrs. Fields at the last trustees meeting, and she was, I think, a little bit surprised that the last time you guys received a whole bunch of heavy rain, I was up here, and I had taken photos of all the gravel, I had taken photos of just everything, all the debris that had washed down into her cul-de-sac, and there on Fullerton, and some of the other stuff, and I'd already taken action to get a Bobcat sweeper up here to try to clean up the mess and stuff like that. So I assure you, I'm driving the streets. Gwen had the pleasure of driving the streets and stuff like that. Chris, yeah, we're up here as much as we possibly can.
And I know that you have a big township to
Yes,
take care of.
yeah. So, but like I said, I think Mrs. Fields can attest that we're up here. We know you're here.
I think at the end of the day, it's a budget issue. Nothing more, nothing less. If we had the money, your streets would be done. It's not a matter of, we're not aware or we don't care. Believe me, that's not it.
And we're not the only community that's struggling with the bad streets. We're not the only one. So I want to turn the meeting back to Kevin. Excuse me.
Okay.
Just one quick question on money, and is any of the Gen Z money able to go towards the roads?
Right now, Chris,
Yeah, here's
some
how-
of it-
Yeah,
some of it-
this is how it plays into it. The service department right now is subsidized by the general fund by almost $1 million a year. And so yes, the JED's money is being utilized to subsidize the operational aspects of the service department. Snow plow, some of the patching, pile repair, but the actual infrastructure dollars, not yet, because we just actually started collecting that in August. So we really don't know where we're gonna be with it. One important aspect with the JEDs to realize, prior to 2008, when the little over $2 million was eliminated from our general fund operating budget like that by the state, prior to that, we had a funding issue for road repair, okay? So we weren't able to keep up with the roads prior to eliminating the $2 million from our budget. The JEDs is only making up about 30% of the 50% we lost. So we're still 20% less than we were prior to 2008. So we were already having struggles keeping up with the roads prior to then. We're still less than where we were in 2008. So
And the JEDs
to answer your question, yes, but by no means is that going to
Right.
help with the infrastructure. We had issues with the infrastructure funding prior to that.
So the JEDs is not, it was a tool to help, but it's not the perfect solution for everything.
It's a bridge.
Exactly. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions not related to the roads or streets that need to be addressed to the trustees? It's kind of quick.
Just as far as lighting, I would love to see a better light at Cedar Brook and Kemper. I think that's a dark intersection, and there is a light 500 feet or so past it, so coming west on Kemper, you kind of think you might be at the light, but you're at the intersection, but you're not, because it's a very dark, because there's trees hiding that bit of light, and that's and there's some potholes on the corner there. The car, if you didn't negotiate properly, you would fall into one of them.
Okay, we'll definitely take a look at it.
You said Cedar Creek? You said Cedar Creek?
Cedar
Okay.
Creek and Kemper?
Gotcha.
That's between Mill Road
Right.
and
Yes.
I'm not even sure if this is technically a part of the farms, but I see children walking down Kemper Road. And there is a large section of that, well, walking down Hamilton, well, Kemper to Hamilton.
Okay.
There's a large section of that road that doesn't have any sidewalk.
Yeah.
And it is incredibly worrisome because there's guardrails and the kids are walking on the inside of that for a majority of the way down the road. Is there anything that can be done to keep those people safe?
Well, just so you're aware, Kemper is a county road.
Yeah.
So the county has the responsibility for Kemper Road. meaning we have no legal jurisdiction within that right of way. What the county engineer recently told me, which I was unaware of, is that he's legally prohibited from installing or maintaining sidewalks. Now, you say, well, there's sidewalks on county roads everywhere. Well, those were put in at the time the road was built, and he didn't use county dollars to do that, and he doesn't maintain them. If a county sidewalk block is messed up, you do pay for that, the resident who lives in front of it.
I know that.
So while it's a county road, what he's gonna tell me is, Chris, I can't use county funds to put in sidewalks. So what does that mean? That means that either the township's gonna do it, which is gonna be difficult because it's not our right of way. We can't use township funds to put that in, especially when the fact that we can't maintain it after the fact. So, can they be put in? Probably, but it's gonna be an assessment to the property owners who live in front of it. Or, we're gonna have to look at possibly getting, there's what they call safe routes to school grants, to where the state can provide funding to do that. But that's only if the county engineer lets us do it to begin with. So, you're right, we have those issues on Daly Road and some other areas of the township too, where they're very similar situations, and I agree. And we'll approach that with the county engineer to see if we can come up with a solution, but unfortunately, it's a county road and I'm at his mercy.
Please do. I lived on Glenelg before I moved back into the farms, and I did see that I believe the student from St. X that got killed
Okay.
there, and I feel like it's just a matter of time. These kids are so close to
Yeah.
moving cars. You're coming around a bend that's blind, so you can't see them.
Hopefully there's enough right of way that if we were to even be able to do it, there may or may not be enough right of way to even do it. So we'll look at it. I promise you that.
Thank you. I'd like to move on with the meeting because we have Northwest Local School Board coming in at 8:15. Trustees, I appreciate your time if you're leaving.
Thank you.
Thank you. And residents, I'd like to thank you for coming out. Not that we're done, I just want to make sure I thanked you. Reading and acceptance of minutes from last meeting. Everybody get the copy of the memo distributed? Do I have any changes to the minutes? Do I have a motion to accept the minutes as written?
I move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes accepted as written. President's report, nothing really except for the roads and streets issues that came up a number of times over the last couple months, and then the stumps on Brookway to be removed from where the trees were taken down on the sewer right away last fall. The stumps need to be removed. We'll have to get a quote on that and time frame to get those taken out. Other than that, there's nothing to report on the president. Vice President's report.
I attended the trustee meeting and I reiterated my concerns about the streets, especially my own street where the hills seemed to slide down after that hard rain. There was a lot of debris and so on, but he might talk about that. And that's about it.
Thank you, Anna. Treasurer's report.
I handed out a sheet here, basically looking at the last 3.5 years. Beginning balance as of 1/1/15 was 3822.15. Income during that period since was 9,385.04. Expenses of 3789.11, leaving a balance of $9,418.08. A lot of the expense is to insurance, memo printing, memo delivery, real estate taxes, the scholarship. So, prior year, 2014, showed a loss of $1,536.85. 2013 showed a loss of $4,956, though I believe some of that was basically just carryover from the prior year, depending on when things got posted, and then a profit of $26.91 or 90 back in 2012. So kind of gives us a snapshot of where we've been and where we're going. Yes.
What's included in the income?
It's mainly And then I have a little issue because I just took over. But what I've seen the income being is memberships, memo ads, and basically transfers from the pool and the athletics to pay for insurance, and payroll taxes that transfers over.
I just have a question about something in the minutes from last month. It says, it's good for the land conservatory company after explaining what we would like to do with the green belt, they said they don't accept land donations. I just didn't understand what meant by what we would like to do with the green belt.
Do you want to do that in old business, or
That could be
new
old
business, or do you want to address it with
Oh,
the
is that coming
minutes?
later? That's fine.
I don't know.
Just answer the question.
Okay. Basically, what I was looking at was, is there a way to remove like the expense for stump removal or for possibly the insurance on the green belts and the expense possibly of, issues with the green belt, whatever expenses might occur with that. If we donated the land off to a land conservatory that said it would stay as greenbelt, we could pass on the expenses onto them, but still have it as greenbelt.
Okay, that was the part I was.
So we were looking into that. They said they didn't really see the advantage to them of taking on expenses and having us keep the, kind of that. So, kind of that's what it meant. So.
Okay, thank you.
I guess two new things, or at least one. There were a lot of complaints as far as the memberships, people paying and them not going through. I haven't heard anything since beginning of the year. Is any issues come up about that?
No, we basically, have taken it over. Linda and I, the membership chair, and I now have keys to the mailbox. Basically, the mailbox wasn't getting checked, and therefore the mail person would take it back and I guess had it sit at the post office, and when nobody claimed it, they probably pitched it. I don't know, but we got a big stack when we finally did have access to it when I took over, and we took all those checks and put them on through to alleviate that issue. But apologize for everyone the way that happened. I wasn't involved at the time. Linda really wasn't able to do anything with it, kind of was taken over as well. So we've also now set up memberships online, which would alleviate checks at all. So you can also join online, but we also take your membership forms and have 2 checks to put in the bank tomorrow. So I think we've alleviated that issue.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to accept the treasury report?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor, accept treasurer's report?
Aye.
Treasury report accepted. Secretary's report?
I have no new business at this time since we've awarded the scholarship.
Thank
So,
you.
thank you.
Athletic director's report?
Season has started. We'll have 15 teams playing right up here at Tifford George Fields these weekends. T-ball season starts tomorrow. Baseball and softball is underway. Anyone in the room can help volunteer to help maintain not only the pool, they need help, but the athletic fields as well. We take care of a lot of grass up there that needs to be cut, fields that need to be lined, weeds that need to be exterminated, things that need to be trimmed back. Just like the Civic Association board, all the people running athletics are volunteers as well. So we would encourage anybody here, at any time, you can get in touch with me, or tomorrow morning at 9:30, we'll be up there, okay? Trying to get the fields ready for Friday and Saturday's play. It's been a bit rough with the cold and wet weather, but we certainly can use your help. We may have an opportunity with the Major League Baseball All-Star Game this year in Cincinnati. Some time ago, they reached the city of Cincinnati and some type of committee has decided they wanted to get neighborhoods involved. So they sent out interesting emails to people to see if they would like to respond. Well, we did. I sent our application in a few weeks ago and confirmed that they received it downtown. What they would do, they're going to assess the various neighborhoods that have responded. And what they would like to do would be to have a huge picnic on the day of the All-Star Game, which is Tuesday, July 14th, beginning about 8:30 at night. We would probably have something beginning perhaps as early as 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay? Basically a picnic and activities for kids. Right? If we get this application approved by the Reds Community Committee, they would do some sponsorship of perhaps things surrounding the Reds. Maybe it might be banners, might be signed things, etc., to help promote this. If we get this, you're the first to hear about it. If we get this, we need help. Okay? You got to be older than 19. I'm not going to accept people under 19 because they're going to be the beneficiaries of it. But we should be knowing here in the next few weeks if we have this. They were even talking about projecting the game, okay, so it could be viewed. So our first thought was if we could get a screen big enough to put on the backstop that we have there at the ballpark of Clifford George that blocks soccer balls from being kicked, and we could perhaps get a truck or something to project it, we could probably fit 2,000 people for that night. However, that runs into some problems too. As a fallback, I checked with the person at St. John Newman, and we can probably fit about 300 people in Daniel Hall to watch the game. So you'll hear more about that as the Reds let us know. But could be a fun idea. Okay? And of course, looking at a lot of you folks here, all you men are invited to the Skirts game on the July 4th parade. You're never too old to participate. He does.
Anything else?
No, else. Isn't that enough?
Thank you. That's enough.
Okay.
Communications?
Got a few things to report for communications. One, the memo for May, the month of May, is an electronic edition. So the electronic editions go to all members of PRFCA, of the Civic Association. That's going to be distributed weekend of May the 2nd, available on the website May the 1st. I need all articles and ads for that memo by this Saturday. 25th, thank you. Yes, by the 25th, I need to receive any articles or ads for the May memo so that it can be included in that and gotten to the printer. Because remember, there are some people that request hard copy memos, so we do have to get it to the printer early enough to get those done and get it distributed. Reporting on April. April was a hard copy memo for the entire neighborhood, and we had some distribution problems. Many of you probably got your memos late. We had some problems with the memos being picked up on time and gotten to the carriers. I do believe most of the routes have been completed. I do know there's one route where the memos were short, so we're trying to rectify that. But I believe all of the other routes have been completed at this point. In connection with that issue we are in need of a memo distribution manager. There's a separate person that manages the carriers and all the distribution of the memo, and we need someone to fill that role. Our next hard copy is going to be September, so we have a little bit of time, and Susan Scheib, who used to be the distribution manager previously, has agreed to train whoever can volunteer, just a little bit of time, and just to cover a little bit about your duties in that role. That person picks up memos from the printer on the hard copy months. They distribute those memos to the carriers with the route info and the money. And then on the non-hard copy months, they deliver those, it's about 30 memos that get delivered to people that have requested hard copies. on the off months. So that's a little bit about the duties of that person. Not a whole lot of time, so if you got a little bit of time, we're really in need of some support there to help the memo distribution. So anyone interested, please contact me, and like I said, Susan will help me train. She graciously has agreed to do that. So that's what I have in terms of reports. I would like to get an article on the scholarship winner, if I can, Connie, please, to include in the memo, and any other items that we'd like to include in the memo for May at this point.
We'll have an article.
Cool.
And we talked about last time about that being front page.
Yeah.
So the full thing.
We can continue that. We should be able to.
Anything else?
Any other article ideas, any other information that we would like to include?
Is that your department? Those lovely emails that we send out to each other, they're really nice, the neighborhood emails that we get. And
On next door you're talking about?
yes, they're really good. I think I really like to follow them.
Yeah.
Is that your department that does that?
No, it is not. That's really.
I don't think it's anyone's department.
That's
It was
really
just an
the
idea that was brought
greater
to us
good.
about a year or so ago. And so people just gradually word of mouth and adding to it.
That's really the kindness of neighbors. You know,
Oh, that's very nice.
Just
I
the
think it's
network of
always
the
surprising
neighborhood.
how many people are joining it and read it and know what's going on that way.
Yeah, and
It's
some
a quick way
interesting
to-
stuff is getting published there. You know, I do include that information in the memo that it's available, but don't handle it.
If we can work out a date before Saturday, I can get something to her to put in the memo.
Okay.
Maybe that'd be possible.
Okay. That should work.
Benita,
Also, we have Great American Cleanup, and, you know, Pleasant Run Farms always has participated in that, and that's May the 16th. That's the second or third Saturday in May.
Okay.
now, there was discussion here about having a garage sale about that time in May and moving up our cleanup, okay,
Oh, okay.
to Saturday.
I think we
This
did,
Saturday.
did we publish, I think we did include that in our last meeting. Great American Cleanup, yeah, the 25th it was supposed to be.
Now, one of the problems in years past has been we haven't had many volunteers on that Great American Cleanup, okay? And I know Misty isn't here tonight, but I don't know whether she's been able to have many people sign up to help. We've always done our
I
own thing.
heard
over
the
fields.
road with the most volunteers gets resurfaced first.
I'm sure you're a spear hoarding deer horn then, man.
Families of 5 don't get to count.
So I don't know if the cleanup is this Saturday,
It's scheduled for the 25th according to the information we had in the memo. It's
but
Saturday.
usually you gather at the swimming pool parking lot.
Right.
Correct.
We need to check with.
We need to check with Misty.
I told Misty I could come be the check-in person Saturday, but I'm waiting to hear from her more information of what I need to do. So,
Maybe
we'll try to do it.
It might be a
We
good
can
idea. just-
coordinate for another date if necessary.
Well, we've only got about 36 hours. It might be an idea to step out and try to get Misty on the phone and find out what's happening, so we can.
I don't
Uh,
Get her numbers in the memo.
Then the other thing is the garage sale, where we want to put something in the memo about the garage sale and the date, and
I can run the.
maybe spread something on next door as
information.
well.
Yes.
Because, you know, you got about a month or so to look forward to trying to do that.
I can rerun the information that I have and check with Misty on that. I can verify with Misty. Everything's still in place, but we have May the 16th for the garage sale, for the yard sale.
We initially had to clean up on the 16th,
Right.
and the garage sale fall on weekend until that's Memorial Day weekend, so we didn't think we get too many people. So,
Any other thoughts or ideas on the memo articles? If not, that's all I have.
Thank you. Linda said she couldn't be here. Did she send a report for with anybody? Community activities, Misty, did she send a report with anybody?
I responded to an email last night to her and told her again that I would be willing to come in on Saturday and meet with whatever volunteers show up. She also had a contact with the township regarding getting some materials for the volunteers, so I'm trying to follow up on that. Willing to do it this Saturday, and we'll just see who comes, and I was thinking maybe I could also put it out through next door that, you know, if any groups, youth group, scout group would like to do it on their own time, just contact one of us and we'll coordinate with them and still call it part of the Great American Cleanup.
Are you talking about the cleanup? Has anybody connected with the counselors at Northwest High School? There are probably lots of kids who don't have all of their community service hours in, and they may be willing to put something out and have the kids sign up
Right.
too.
Well, the date targeted was this Saturday, and the community activities person had illness in her family, and she's not here tonight, so I don't know what she's
Right.
done.
You
So,
can always
I
connect
had
with
just
me and I'll make
volunteered
that
to help her
connection.
out.
So.
Okay.
Pool report.
First of all, Susan and Beth and I want to thank everyone that has given a donation so far. We've had quite a few people call us in regards to the article that was in the memo last month about responding to if everybody that lived in the farms would donate $20, we would be able to fund this project. It's Beth and Susan and I, we love the pool. Our kids love the pool, and we want it to be around for a long time. You know, anything that was built in the 1960s that you know, is built of concrete is not going to last forever. And even though it has been lovingly maintained for the past 40, 50 years, you know, there comes a time and a place for everything that needs to be repaired and renovated and upgraded. And it's unfortunate that the foresight was not there to save a little bit of money every year and you know, save up for it, but it didn't happen. So our plan is to open this year. We're fighting Mother Nature as usual. We had everything dry, and at baseball practice tonight, Beth said that the baby pool had 4 inches of water in it again, and so we'll be there pumping it out again and cleaning it out. But we do appreciate the donations we've received and lots of offers to help. And really, any time that you see that the gate is open and we're down there working, if you can stop in, and Brian and his wife have helped out, and we do have some Northwest students coming to help us Saturday, weather permitting. There's lots of little things that can be done. You know, getting the chairs out and cleaning things and weeding and, you know, lawn care and those kinds of things. So we really do appreciate that. We're still looking for members and memberships for this summer, and we're really hoping for a great year. We're working with 2 companies, Graber with a V, Concrete, and they're doing some concrete patching for us, and they've given us a really good price, and they're being very good and fair with us about that. And then we've been working with Shamrock Pools, and he also has been very nice to us, very honest, given us a lot of hints to kind of make things work and get by without having to make any major repairs this year so that we can save money. And his suggestion to us has been to install, it's a PVC liner. It's like a plastic, a rubber liner in the pool. They put one in the aquatic center a few years ago in Fairfield, and he thinks that if we would do that, it would extend the life of the pool maybe 10 or 15 years. And that's really the best bet for us and the most economical one. It would be great if we could start from scratch and, you know, build a brand new pool and have brand new facilities down there, but I don't know that, you know, that's a pipe dream. PVC liner is kind of a pipe dream at this point too, but we know that this issue is bigger than the three of us. It's bigger than this board. We've worked with the township, and I'm just glad that they're aware of the issue, and we just want people to have an awareness, first of all, that the pool's there. Every day, it seems like I still get a call that, oh, I didn't even know there was a pool in the neighborhood. What do you, I don't know, what's that big parking lot? So people, there's a lot of people that don't know it's there, and it's just such a great place. You know, it's a great place for your kids to be able to hang out, for you to be able to hang out. It's so quiet and nice and clean and small and uncrowded. It's just really a great place, and we don't want to see it go the way that the Brentwood pool has gone and so many other neighborhood pools in the area. So we're opening this year. Our plan is to open this year. Next year is kind of up in the air. We can't keep putting Band-Aids on things at the pool. We have got to make some big renovations and some big changes in the future. And it's going to take more than having a garage sale or selling, you know, extra advertising for the fence, you know, at $50 a pop or whatever. This is, it's big money, but we can do it. And I think that we really need to do it. So again, we appreciate everyone that has donated, and if you're willing to make a donation, we are gladly accepting those. And you can send it either to the pool mailbox. You can drop it off at the pool mailbox. We have a website that's called GoFundMe that you can make donations to as well. And really, that money, we're saving it. We're saving it for these renovations. It's not like we're using it for our startup costs or for anything this year. Those donations, we're really saving them for these renovations and for these repairs. So it's a dire situation, but you know, we have faith that the neighborhood will pull together, and we know the township will help us with whatever they can to save it and keep it going. So, but we're praying for sunshine for the next 4 weeks so we can get things dry and painted and patched and ready to go. So.
Are memberships coming in? Have you gotten some already? Or
We have
how are
gotten
they
some,
tracking?
but we need more. We definitely need more.
Thank you, Aaron. Cover the presentation of scholarship. Old business, I think we covered that earlier with Christina's question with the green belt. New business, any other business to be brought before the board?
Schools, I guess.
Are they here?
Yes, all that is.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Turn it over to you for a few minutes.
Okay. Hello, my name is Pauletta Crawley. I'm with Northwest Local School District and also a member of the Community Partners for Education, which is the group that's leading the campaign for the combined operating bond levy that's on the ballot May 5th. I don't know how much you've heard. I'm assuming many of you have heard about it, but I talked with Ed and he didn't necessarily want a big presentation, so I'd be happy to answer questions or give you a nutshell on what we're looking at with this bond levy. So why don't you direct me on what you want me to do?
I would think you might want to give a short
A short version?
Short
Okay.
version.
We had an architect firm go through our buildings last year and do an assessment of each of our buildings. And with that assessment, they looked at renovations for each building and the cost of those renovations versus building a new building and the cost of building a new building. And we did come up with a ratio to see what it would cost to build new versus renovate to the current state standards. And many of our schools were built in the 60s when we had the baby boom, and things were put up pretty quickly and maybe not in the good old German craftsmanship that a Coleraine Elementary was built with 95 years ago. And so we're seeing lots and lots of issues in our buildings, particularly Taylor, Pleasant Run, Weigel, Struble, and here. We have a wonderful maintenance department that does their best with loving care. They've taken care of our buildings, but they are 50-plus years old. And so it's difficult to find replacement parts. And we are now living in an age where only 3 of our 13 schools are air-conditioned, but parents really want their children to attend air-conditioned buildings. And I will tell you that the staff would prefer to be in an air-conditioned building in August and May and June. So what we did was looked at that ratio, and anything above 70%, which is Weigel, Struble, Taylor, PRE, and Cole-Raynell. But Cole-Raynell was actually right there on the bubble. Welch was slightly below that 70%. But what we're trying to do is go from 5 elementaries to 3. It's much more efficient to build 850, 900 student buildings than it is to build a new 450 student building. So we wanted to combine and get our schools back to K-5. We did go to a narrow grade range a few years ago, thinking that was best to combine kids so we had more classes at a certain grade level. But we are clearly finding that neighborhoods, parents prefer the K-5 building because every couple of years when you get used to something, you're moving on to something else. It's killing our PTAs too. So we also, if we built it this way, Welch and Taylor would feed into PRE. And so certain students at Taylor, because right now they're a K-3 building, this is a K-3 building, and the students go to PRE, which is a grade 4-5 building. So we will combine Welch and PRE into a new building on the Pleasant Run Elementary site. We would build a new Taylor building. Some of the kids who are currently attending Colerain Elementary, when we closed Houston, and they may have come here, we did draw some lines there. We would pull them out of Colerain, put them back in Taylor. We'll build a new Taylor on the Taylor site. And then we'll combine Weigel and Struble, which is a K2 building at Struble, and K3 and 4-5 at Weigel, and the one building on the Struble site because, again, it has a nice piece of property, and will be K5. And by the way, all of our elementaries would then be K5. Montfort Heights is already that way. Cole-Raynell is already that way. And we would be able to provide all-day kindergarten for the first time for all of our elementary buildings, because we can build them big enough to accommodate that need. All the buildings would be air-conditioned with the exception of Colerain Elementary, because the 3 new ones would be air-conditioned. But again, we're going from 5 to 3 buildings, so that will help save. Even with air conditioning, we would save on energy costs. We would save on staff because you could do away with some, 2 offices. Now you're down to 1 office. You have 4 administrators, you're down to 2 or 3 administrators, things like that. So you'll save certain costs there as well. I had a thought that just came in and went out. So we're very excited about this. We really do believe that this is the best plan for our schools. We built Montfort Heights Elementary 16 years ago. It's been 16 years. Prior to that, this Northwest High School, and then these schools were the newest schools. So it's very difficult to pass levies in our area of town for a couple of reasons. Some school board members can be very opinionated on how often a new building should be built, every 10, 15, 20 years. Well, when your buildings are deteriorating at a faster rate than that, it's difficult. We also live in Southwest Ohio, which is very parochial. So we have Catholic schools in a lot of our neighborhoods, and people send their kids to those schools, pay tuition, and they don't want their taxes to go up. We also have a large senior population, and they are on fixed incomes. With this bond operating levy, we have a current renewal up this year. So a renewal doesn't raise your taxes or anything, it just keeps it going. So this board decided to, let's take this and after lots of research with committees, and we included community members on those committees, let's take this and turn it into a bond/operating levy. So the current levy that was up for renewal is like 4.55 mils. So we took it down to 4.46 6, I don't have the exact numbers, but, you know, we brought it down thinking that would actually lower taxes for the community. And with that bond, we could build 3 new elementary schools and renovate all other existing buildings. And by the way, we are looking at air conditioning Colerain Elementary as well. And we also, part of that millage would be used as an operating levy, so that we don't go by the way that some of the districts have gone, where they built new schools and then didn't have money to operate them. We are not in that position. We have cut so much in the last 8 years that we actually now have a very nice reserve. But with this new bond operating levy, we can build the 3 new schools and have the money to operate them for many years to come, we hope. So that's it in a nutshell, but I kept having thoughts going through my head, and I wanted to remember them, and I can't do it anymore. So I would welcome questions from you, concerns that you might have. Mm-hmm.
Just to clarify, sorry, you said a lot. What will happen to this building?
Okay, for this building, we are vacating a couple of buildings. We'll be vacating Weigel. We'll be vacating, well, we're not vacating Taylor, we're building a new Taylor. That's a point I wanted to make, so I'll get right back to that. When Cincinnati Public built all of their new buildings, they had to transport their kids somewhere else for a year and a half for them to attend school. We have the luxury that each of those sites, Taylor, PRE, and Struble, all have enough land behind them, next to them, that we can actually build the new buildings while our kids are still attending their schools, and then tear them down the summer before we move in, which would be 2 years. The plans are not concrete yet. So we have had some discussions with Springfield Township to see if they would have some interest in creating a community center or something here. Again, we're just in the initial stages there. We've also had land developers looking at this site, the Beavis site, and the Weigel site, and the Houston site, because there's a very good chance that we'll combine, when Weigel is vacated, the administrative offices are there. So we may either move administrative offices to Houston, or in Houston we have our enrollment center, our preschool, the conference center, and special ed. We may move them into the Weigel building, and then the Houston site would be available. So we have done nothing definite yet. We're still talking. We did meet with Beavis families quite a bit when we closed Beavis. And what they asked is that we not put certain things on that property. And at that time, we were required to offer the property to charter schools for $1. And that law is off the books now, so we can sell the property for what it's worth. But we are cognizant of what they wanted. They wanted that to remain residential, and not with senior centers, and not with public housing, and not with apartments. They want homes in there. So right now we have a land developer looking at the Beavis property, this property, and a third property.
Houston,
Yeah, well, they're looking at Houston,
Weigel.
just to see what we could do with those properties. And we would, you know, this was built with public money, with your tax dollars. So we're very cognizant of that, and we want to put something here. We're not going to satisfy everybody, you know.
So you
But
can do what you guys want with this land. That's pretty much
We
what it
can.
comes down to. You
Mhm.
can sell the land to whoever you want.
Correct.
Can you confirm that this won't be turned into either an alternative school and not be sold for public housing or apartments?
I can't confirm that at this moment, but I will tell you that the board doesn't want to do that. And, you know, boards change. So I can tell you at this point in time, that's why we have a land developer out there looking, so that we can see what it's suitable for, and we'll come to the community and talk to the community about that as well. Because we don't. You are our you're our community as well, and we are part of your community, and we want to be able to make that a pretty seamless transaction. So, you know, we want public input, and, you know, we want to take that into consideration.
So what I hope I'm hearing is that you will work with this community
Mhm.
and have them involved
Oh,
as a
absolutely.
committee
Absolutely.
to look at the opportunities
Yes,
and also to listen to their concerns about what they don't want.
correct. That's what we did with Beavis, Okay, now, the levy is on the ballot May 5th. It is the only thing on the ballot. So our families received postcards this week, hopefully, reminding parents to vote. Actually, it came from the levy committee, so it said vote for issue 5 on May 5th. But also, we have been sending emails home to families that May 5th is election day. Make sure you get out and exercise your right to vote. We do not have any formal opposition to this. Let me go back to that. I do have some handouts I'll give you later, but when we went to Dusty Rhodes, the auditor, to look, we lowered the millage thinking that the tax rate for everyone would be lowered by $10, $15, $20 per family. And when we went to Dusty Rhodes, Dusty told us that as of 2013, when Governor Kasich wanted to balance the budget, he took some things away from the taxpayers. For example, if you were a new homeowner, first home, you got the rollback tax of like 10% that you didn't have to pay. The state paid that for you. Not for every family, but for many families. So if you, as of 2013, any new levies on the ballot, families would no longer get that rollback tax. So if you were taking advantage of that, your taxes will actually go up about $12 per 100,000 on your tax bill. If you didn't take advantage of that, your taxes will actually go down $7 for every $100,000 of your home property. So for many people, it'll be, pretty neutral. It's not a big increase. We don't have a lot of $500,000 homes around here or in my neighborhood. So, it'll be a minimal increase if you were one of those families that utilized the rollback tax. And it will be a nominal decrease if you were not. But I have flyers. We don't want to hide anything from anybody. We're being very honest. This is a frequently asked question, but I would suggest you go to our website, and at the bottom of the front page is the master facility plan. We have updated this because we have had many more questions, but these were already printed. And it can answer most of your questions, and I can too if you have any other questions here tonight.
May I have one of those to include some of that in?
Yeah.
the
And then, again, if it passes, we will begin working with the architects on May 6th. They have put many schools together, and they kind of fit the architecture into what the neighborhood is like. So if you had a lot of colonial homes in your neighborhoods, they could build a school that had a colonial design on the inside. And by the way, the schools will be air-conditioned, much wider hallways with a lot of natural lighting. This building has very little natural lighting, which will help with energy. It helps kids with learning when the schools are brighter. The HVAC systems, all of that are so much nicer. Very few. This is one of the schools that was built with a library in mind, I believe. Most of our other schools, we had to take classrooms or 2 classrooms and combine them and make it a library. So we'll have actual media centers that are built to be media centers with technology and real books. I'm a lover of books. We will still have books. We rent out our gyms almost every night of every week, particularly during basketball season. So going from 5 elementaries to 3 was a concern for many of our neighborhood groups that utilize our gyms. Our plan is to build regulation-sized gyms so that we can put that partition down the middle and have 2 gyms working at the same time. So we'll actually get an additional gym to rent out that is full size when we do that. So that was a concern of the community when they initially heard that, and so we dealt with that. Trying to think what other kind of slides. Oh, classroom space. Classroom space is larger. Currently, our classrooms are about 700 to 750 square feet. We will up that to 900 square feet, simply so that teachers can, and create furniture appropriate for the grade level. So they can move furniture around, move the kids around, so they can do small group, whole group, individual group, tutoring with people in the room, and storage that our teachers always complain about, that we don't have enough storage, and build storage into those classrooms as well. So it is very exciting, and at some point, once we have the initial design, we will come back to the community to ask for input on that design. We're not asking ahead of time because people want pools and they want all these things that are pipe dreams that we can't have, you, as you said so eloquently. But, you know, the necessities with a few little perks like an all-day kindergarten, air conditioning that we currently don't have, you know, those things will just really, technology that's state-of-the-art that we don't have right now. And we're very excited about that. So the one question I can't answer is actually what will happen, but that has been from the very beginning. We've talked about the properties that will be vacated and what we will do to communicate with those communities so that we put something there or make something happen that's, you know, you're dead set in the middle of a neighborhood. So what we're thinking at central office is if Springfield Township would want to take this on and make it a community center of some kind, or the other thing we're thinking is, again, residential, where, you know, you could put a street in here with individual homes that would add to the neighborhood. That was our thought, but again, we're not land developers, so.
Will you build us a pool here?
Target would be nice.
Yeah.
Target.
Rules would be nice.
Anybody else have questions? Yes, sir.
There's one over
You
there.
want one here?
Wonderful. It sounds
And again, this is all on our website, www.nwlsd.org.
Reading between the lines of what you just said, I've heard you mention cutting jobs and making bigger classrooms, which I am, as a parent, totally frightened is going to mean.
No, that's not more students in a classroom. Now, when I say cutting jobs, I don't believe anybody will lose their job because of attrition. You know, people retire, people move on, kinds of things. So you're going from a 450 student building to a 900 student building. So there are selective jobs, like administrators, that we won't need that many of, hopefully. So you can consolidate that. Your office staff, you may not need as many as you had. You know, if there's 2 here and 2 there, and we combine, you might need 3 instead of 4. But no one's going to lose their job because of the consolidation.
And what about the classroom?
Classroom, the space is bigger, but we are limited by law on how many kids can be in a class. And our average right now is 24 to 1, 24 students for every teacher. And so all of these plans are configured so that we stay within those guidelines. We're not going to go at the elementary level, we will never go above 25. But we can't do it by law, and, you know, if you would, you'd have to put a second teacher in there, in that classroom. So when I say bigger, it's,
But in a high school by law, it's 30 or more.
correct.
What's the current student-to-teacher ratio?
It's not that high.
I'm worried about what it will be.
Oh, well, we're combining schools so that what we feed into Northwest High School is not going to be any bigger than it is right now, except for those few kids at Colerain L right now, that in 2 years will transfer back over into PRE.
Will there
Excuse
be,
me.
I don't imagine all the way out here that there would be the kids coming from
No, and we'll keep our feeder system. So we have Northwest High School, Colerain. Northwest, PRE will feed in. Colerain, White Oak, and Colerain Middle will feed in. And then you have Taylor and PRE would feed into Pleasant Run. You have Montfort Heights, the new Struble, and Colerain Elementary feeding into Colerain Middle, and then going on to Colerain High School. So we're not changing the feeder system at all. So that's all going to stay the same. So there's going to be more kids in one elementary school, but it's the same amount of kids that are feeding into the middle school because we just took these kids in these 2 buildings and put them in one. That's bigger, modern, has the amenities that we want in it.
Okay, I have one more, sorry. Gwen, I wonder if maybe you could comment or shed some light on the idea or theory that the township might have an interest in this.
I am going to be in an administrative meeting on Monday, and I will bring that up because I wasn't aware that there had been meetings.
There have been conversation.
Okay.
You know, there's
Because
nothing definite. They know
Okay.
that, they know what our plans are,
Mhm.
and so they know that we are interested in having them look at this,
Mhm.
so.
I definitely will bring that up for discussion.
I mean, my daughter goes to private school, but I have always been a proponent of public school system. I think it's important to our children, to all of our future.
Our neighborhood.
I'm a little torn because I live in this neighborhood and I care about what happens to this property. So I've never voted against a school levy in my life, and I may look young, I hope I do, but I've voted for many levies and voted yes. But, and I want to vote for this one, but the issue with the property not being settled makes me very nervous. I don't want it to be at the expense of our kids going to
Right,
terrible, condition, dilapidated schools, but
right. Well, you brought
I'd
up
feel
two.
better about it if I knew what was going to happen with
You
this
brought up
property.
two really great points. Like I said, we have a large parochial community. We can't live without them and they can't live without us. We have to work together. We couldn't take their student population on without building more schools, and they can't take our population on. And, very often tuition continues to rise, and some families choose to either send their kids to elementary and middle school in a parochial school and go to public high school, or vice versa. My son is sending his kids to public school, but he will go to the high school. My grandson will go to LaSalle because he bleeds red. So, but that's up to you to save your money the way you want to. The other thing is, everyone pretty much understands that if your schools are good schools and 3 new schools, we're hoping will generate more younger families moving into the area as well, and it keeps your property value high. It's only going to help raise it, not lower it, when we make new schools in the area. So, you all know that. And we appreciate so much your vote. So, but that is your decision. That's what you have to weigh. And again, we do plan to have the community involved in what happens here. So, okay. Anything else?
Thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome. I did want to mention one other thing. You mentioned the Reds Community Fund. We go to a lot of Reds ball games, and my husband always buys split the pot tickets, and we never win. But I often wondered where that money went. It goes to the Reds Community Fund. And last week, Northwest High School's baseball field was renovated by the Cincinnati Reds Community Fund and the Mott's Group. And I was there to watch a lot of it. It was absolutely a phenomenal day from 5:30 in the morning until 4 o'clock. All these trucks, professional equipment coming in, people who knew what they were doing. It is outstanding. And the Reds Community Fund notified us 10 days earlier that we were chosen to have our ball fields redone. It was just phenomenal. So to hear that they're coming into the neighborhoods to do things as well, I think is great. And now I can tell my husband where his losing money goes. He has to go down to the game.
Thank you.
He does save the stubs though, so he can write it off.
Tom, did you find them tickets?
Any other new business? Other new business be brought before the board? Motion for adjournment?
I'll make a motion.
Adjourn.